Hi everyone, welcome to CMZ Live. I'm Laura Klutz, an associate animal curator here at the Cleveland Metro Park Zoo, and I'm so excited to join you for today's live stream, and we're featuring the gorillas. Tune in now to learn more about our troop, and please drop any questions you have in the comments, and I'll be popping in throughout the live stream to talk to you guys. Here at Cleveland Metro Park Zoo, we house a gorilla troop that has 8 members. This group is a family group, so those members consist of our one and only silverback, Mr. Makolo. He has his 4 adult females in with him, and he is our proud papa of 3 babies that are in the group, 1 toddler, which is Kayembe, and we have 2 baby little girls, 2 years old and 1.5 years old, Jamila and Kunda. On the screen there is Miss Kunda, and on the previous screen, if you were hanging out with us, that was Jamila, and Jamila is our foster adopted kiddo from the Fort Worth Zoo. But for all the purposes, this is Makolo's family, and he treats all these kids like they're his own from day one. So our troop here at Cleveland Metro Park Zoo consists of 5 adults, like we just mentioned, of our family group. We have Makolo, our silverback. He's gonna turn 38 on July 10th, which is just coming up next month. And then Frederica is our oldest female, which you saw in a previous shot with Jamila. She turned 51 on June 5th. She had an amazing birthday. And then actually who you have on the screen right now is Tusa. She's another one of our females. She's 35 and came to us in 2019. And then KB is the mom of Kunda. She is 34. Nanika she was the female right on the screen right before we switched to Tusa eating these munchy treats. Nika's our youngest adult female at 26. And she's the birth mom of Kayembe, who's our 3-year-old that's gonna be 4. And those are all our adult females, and they're all considered pretty middle-aged in their range. Makolo and Freddie are considered geriatric, and they're in their older stages of life, and it's a little bit different for males and females. So males, they're really lucky to make it into their 40s. If you look at their body size and the role that they have in their family group, they're the protector, they're the leader. They've got all the stressful roles of the family group. And so they don't live quite as long as the females. And even though Freddie's geriatric and she's 51, we've had individuals live into their early to mid 60s while they're in managed care at facilities like awesome Cleveland Metro Parks and different zoos around the country. So we're hoping to have these gorillas in this family group for many years to come. So if you've been joining us, you've heard us talk a little bit about our kiddos. So on the screen right now is Kayembe. Just a reminder that he's our 3-year-old and we cannot believe he's going to be 4. He was the very first gorilla baby ever born at Cleveland Metro Park Zoo in our whole history. So he is so special to us. And his name actually means extraordinary, and he is the most extraordinary little guy. And on the screen right before him was Kunda. Kunda, her name means love. And she's KB's baby, and she's gonna be 2 next month, July 19th. And then earlier on the screen with Freddie is Jamila, and we had said that she's kind of our adoptive kiddo who Freddie is fostering from Fort Worth. She turned 1 in January. And we got a great question from one of our viewers. They wanted to know if any of our gorillas have breeding recommendations and if we're gonna have any more babies. Right now, all of our females are on birth control. It's the same birth control that we take as humans. We are all great apes, gorillas and humans, so we can do a lot of the same care for ourselves and take the same kind of medicines. And so we actually have all of our females on birth control. We do follow and work with the SSP, the Gorilla Species Survival Plan, and they're kind of like a board of directors that manage all the gorillas in managed care across the whole United States and even a couple other countries. And so they are responsibly breeding the population based on our genetics to make sure that we have a good, healthy overall population. So at this time, even if we did have breeding recommendations, we're kind of at full capacity with these 3 kids and these 5 adults and this family group of 8. It's a pretty large family group. So we want to make sure that we take in the welfare of the gorillas that we already have, so we won't be breeding at this point in time. But hopefully you guys have followed us on our other social media channels and know about our primate forest expansion, so we can make more space for gorillas and have different groups, because eventually Cayambe is going to have to move out of this natal group. So we're trying to make more space, and then we could accommodate more gorillas, but right now this is our amazing family group that we'll house for probably the near future. So Western gorillas are social animals and live in groups called troops. We've talked a little bit about how we manage our one family group here. Otherwise, it's pretty common that sometimes you can see bachelor group gorillas, which means there's no females and you'll see just boys living together. We did house a bachelor group here for probably over 20 years until Mr. McCullough found himself alone, and at that time it was decided that he'd be a good candidate to bring in families and make a family group. So now that we have our 8 individual family group, it's interesting to know that the average size of a group or troop of Western gorillas is 4 to 8 individuals. So we're right at those seams. And we mentioned primate forest. If you guys come to the zoo, you're gonna see the rainforest all under construction. It's pretty neat to see. That's phase 1, where we're gonna work on our orangutan side, and it's slated that the gorillas are gonna have new homes down there, but it's gonna be a new expansion on top of the construction you're gonna see. So we're planning all kinds of different habitats down there. We're gonna have multiple habitats. There's a chance we could house multiple groups based on what we work with the SSP and what gorillas need homes at that time. And we have the potential in our design to house multiple groups. So the gorillas will get a kind of a more dynamic space. It's going to be designed similarly to what they need in their natural habitats, and give them opportunities that they don't necessarily have in their homes right now. And we're always going to try to improve the spaces and welfare, and we are so excited for the future with Primate Forest. The Western Lowland gorilla is one of two subspecies of Western gorilla. So when you think of gorillas, they're going to be broken up into two groups. All gorillas are found on the continent of Africa, but then they're broken up into Western and Eastern. So in Eastern, you have the mountain gorillas and the Eastern lowland gorillas. And in Western gorillas, you have the Western lowland, which is all these awesome gorillas you're looking at right now, and a group called the Cross River gorillas. So those are the four subspecies, but Western has two, and whenever you go to an accredited zoo, you're going to see a Western lowland gorilla, because that is the only gorilla that is housed in zoos like ours. So even though there's different groups and they look pretty similar, but they all have their differences, you're going to see the Western lowland. Sometimes when you look them up on other media outlets, or if you ever follow the Diane Fossey Fund, which is one of our main conservation partners, you're gonna see a more fluffy gorilla. Those are the mountain gorillas. And so they do have their differences, but for all purposes, they're all gorillas. And the Western lowlands is everyone that you're gonna see on the screen here and when you come to Cleveland Metro Park Zoo in person. So we had a question come in from one of our viewers if Nanika recognizes that Kayembe is her child. So this is an interesting one because, of course, me and the caregivers don't speak gorilla. Sometimes I wish I did. Sometimes I love that I don't. But we can look at the gorillas, we can observe them, and we can read their behavior. And every now and then, Kai will go and spend time with Nanika. Sometimes he nests with Nanika. And I feel that Nanika is way more tolerant of Kayembe than the other kids that we have in the group. And whether that she recognizes that she has some different connection to Kayembe, then maybe there's a small difference that she recognizes that to some level. But when she did give birth to Kayembe, he was 6 weeks premature. She gave birth and had a very short, not normal labor. And from day one, she never picked him up. And that's when Freddie stepped in as an amazing foster and took over care of him. And then since then, it's been for all purposes of the word mom, that's Freddie for Kayembe. But he does have an amazing auntie relationship with Nanika, and I think that they do have a special bond. So the Western lowland gorilla is the most widespread of all the gorilla subspecies. So they're found in quite a few of the different countries over in Africa. They are located more in Central Africa, even though we have them labeled as Eastern versus Western. But the Western are found more in the middle of the continent, and those countries that they're spread across is Angola, Cameroon, Central African Republic, the Republic of the Congo, and that's where you're going to find the majority of the gorillas, but they're also found in Equatorial Guinea and Gabon, which that's a lot of places for those gorillas to be spread over all those different countries in Africa. So they're definitely the most widespread, and they're definitely most represented in the Republic of Congo. So females have an average height of 4.5 feet and weigh between 150 and 200 pounds. So on the screen right now is actually Miss Tusa. She is very special in our troop, and she is a very special lady. She was the last female added to our family group in 2019, and you can kind of always recognize her because unfortunately she's the lowest female on the totem pole. Gorillas work in a hierarchy situation, and someone's always got to be on the bottom, but that doesn't mean that they're not a special part of the family. And she has a very interesting story. She was born in the Bronx, and she was raised by her caregivers and then went to the Albuquerque Zoo. And when she came here, because she had that interesting upbringing, I describe it to our visitors like she kind of speaks a different language sometimes. It's like she's speaking French and all of our other gorillas speak Italian, and sometimes they just don't understand each other. But she has done such an amazing job here fitting into our troop and being resilient, and they've just really accepted her. And even though you see her sitting off on her own, she's still a very important part of the troop, and she's fit in so well over these years since 2019. So male Western lowland gorillas are much larger than the females. You can see Makolo on your screen right now, and if you remember what Tusa looked like, Moki is about double the size. So Tusa kind of sticks around 200 pounds. To put it in perspective, Moki can weigh anywhere from 390 pounds to 410 pounds. And he's not overweight by any means. He is ideal body condition. This is the size of a silverback Western lowland gorilla. And so he is large and in charge, and he is just the most handsome thing, and he is the leader and protector and silverback of our group. When you guys watch Kayembe play, I want you to keep in mind that someday he's gonna grow into the size of his papa. So that little over 50-pound kiddo, he's gonna turn into a silverback and be as big as his daddy one day, and I can't wait to watch that happen. So we had a visitor put in a question that's viewing the live stream today, and they wanted to know if that little white patch that maybe you've noticed it on some of our juveniles, it's right on their backside and they're born with it. And there's a couple theories of why various primates have these visible things on their infants and then it goes away at a certain age. So gorillas ride on their backs of their moms and are carried by other family troop members. And one of the theories is that it's a great visibility marker when these gorillas are found in forests and swamplands and you think it's pretty dense. So if you see this bright white patch kind of jump out of nowhere, you can easily identify an infant in the family group. So we've seen this in wild gorillas, and we know that it absolutely goes away just like it does in animals in managed care. And that at some point when they're locomoting on their own and they're not back riding and they have kind of the body size to kind of defend and take care of themselves, that they outgrow that white patch. So if you still come to the zoo and you're viewing the live stream, you're gonna see that on all of our kiddos right now. But in a few years of Mr. Kayembe kind of doing his transition from a toddler into his juvenile phase, he's not gonna have that white patch anymore. So Western lowland gorillas are primarily herbivores. What that means is they eat leaves, foliage, seeds, and some fruit in the wild. Keep in mind, wild African fruit is a little different than American fruit. So what that looks like in their actual diet is actually vegetables that we feed them. So we had an awesome question come through about what are the ice treats or popsicles that they're eating. That is something they get for enrichment. And the keepers made it this time with a little tiny splash of blue dilute sugar-free Gatorade. And then there's chopped up green beans in there. If you believe it or not, green beans are one of our gorillas' favorite foods, and they'll even do certain training behaviors for their green beans and value that sometimes a little bit more over other foods. Other than that, what you see on your screen right now is Miss Nanika using a puzzle feeder. There's all kinds of their scatter greens in there, so they get all kinds of lettuces, whether it's romaine, endive, dandelion greens. Sometimes they get spinach, which they like all of those. And then the tree branches that you've seen our gorillas munching on, they get about a truckload of trees every single day. That's called browse, and they'll even eat the leaves and bark off of that browse just like they would do in the wild. And so for that reason, we try to mimic as much as we can the natural diet of gorillas in the wild here at Cleveland Metro Parks. I want to sincerely thank everybody for joining us today for our live stream. I love sharing our gorilla troop with everybody, local and across the globe. So you can learn more about what you can do to make a difference at futureforwildlife.org. You can visit that website to learn more about what you can do to make a difference and help our zoo secure a future for wildlife and wild places. Thank you so much for tuning in, and make sure you stay tuned for our future shows.